up, guys? It's your boy Rondo back here for another video, and today we're gonna be reacting to another Jubilee video. So this video that I'm gonna be reacting to on Jubilee hits a little closer to home because I am a mass shooting survivor. So I used to go to the school my freshman year, and it is Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. And unlucky for me, that same year I was caught in the middle of a school shooting. Luckily enough, I survived. Here I am today, making YouTube videos. Still living and alive. Some people, in the comment section or, whoever's watching this video who has never known me personally or just doesn't know me, of course, probably won't believe that I was in a school shooting. But you guys can look it up, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. It was a shooting. It was February 14th on Valentine's Day, 2018. So right here, I have my lanyard. Let me flip it around so you guys can see it. It says MSD Strong. I don't know if the camera's gonna focus on this shit or not, but MSD Strong. Kept it as a reminder. And I got my actual school ID right here. I don't know why it's just not focusing on that. I mean, I think it's decent enough for you guys to at least see that this is the school ID. Alright, so I also happen to have a backpack that the school gave to me after the school shooting happened. They made us wear these clear backpacks because they didn't want nobody, having any guns or, just anything that they could threaten students with. So it's kind of ridiculous, but, I got my little Jordan logo on here if you guys can see it. I wrote some things on the backpack. I was bored, but they gave us a clear backpack to wear while we were going to the school. I ended up switching out of the school because I actually moved to a different part of Florida, just a little bit more south. It isn't that far. I'm 40 minutes away from where I used to live. But that's besides the fact that I am a mass shooting survivor pretty much, and that's the reason why we're reacting to this video today, because I feel like I can relate to it. Alright, so this is the video we're going to be reacting to: mass shooting survivors versus NRA members. It's quite a lengthy video. It is about 25 minutes, so I'm going to try and give my piece after each question and just pretty much give my opinion, see how it goes.
About 11 o'clock, I was getting ready to leave the bar.
It was just a normal day. I walked in with my friends, and I was in my first period class.
I was on the dance floor. He walked in with a gun in hand and started open fire on the bar.
Just kind of happened in the middle of nowhere. Of course, you're just having fun at a concert, and then next thing you know, it's massacre going on all around.
Bang, 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 bang.
Yeah, that's how it starts off, I thought I was having a regular day at school, you know what I mean? And things just turn for the worse out of nowhere. You just never know when something like that is just gonna happen. It just happened out of nowhere. Just started hearing shots and stuff. And I've had the same experience as these people right here. You're just having a normal day, doing whatever. Either you're at a concert, a bar, you know what I mean? I was at school in my case, and it just happened. A school shooting just happened.
The United States does not have a mass shooting problem. The United States has a mental health, a ignorance around the Second Amendment, and irresponsibility problem.
You can't look at it in a vacuum. You have to look at the entire history. And in this country, every stage where liberty was achieved for a group, typically it was a war that was involved.
I don't personally know anybody who's a member of the NRA. I'm not sure what they have to say.
I've lost someone to gun violence.
Yes, so 4 months ago was my school shooting. November 14th, today is actually the 4-month anniversary. I didn't know the two people who the shooter shot, but I did know the shooter. So I did, in a sense, have a connection to someone who died because he did commit suicide after killing two, and I believe he's...
So as you mentioned about somebody committing suicide, I did know two kids, right? One of them died in the shooting. I'm not going to mention his name because I want to be respectful to the families and friends of these people. But they were good people. They were good kids, man. And it's sad to see kids go like that. It definitely traumatizing. Definitely a sad thing to see. And so I knew one kid. He died in the shooting, and I also knew this other kid. Not mentioning any names to be respectful. He took his own life. And mental health and is definitely very important. You know what I mean? Especially after a traumatizing event, it's definitely important that people get help. Mental health regarding the person who does the shooting and mental health of the people who experienced the shooting is definitely important. Because I lost that friend that I knew. It was a kid I knew since middle school. I wasn't that close, but the fact that I knew the kid, the fact that he was living and breathing, and now that he's not because he took his own life, is just very, very depressing.
I was at the Vegas shooting at the concert, and then Borderline as well. I had lost one person in Vegas that I had tried to help And then at Borderline, I had lost 8 people that I knew.
I think that mass shootings are a problem, but I think that a lot of the time we're focusing on the wrong thing when it comes to mass shootings. It is a double-edged sword. We should focus on some sort of gun regulation, but at the same time, the other side of the sword is it's a lot of mental health. I think mental health is our problem in the United States because we don't focus on it enough.
So yeah, I definitely agree with Hayden. I think that's his name. Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. I feel like, there should be precautions in place, and there are precautions in place in each state. Some states are harder, some states are like have loose precautions when it comes to being able to get a gun and stuff like that. But I feel like there's also a very big problem with mental health. You know what I mean? These shooters that commit these heinous, crazy fucking acts. You know what I mean? They have to be mentally sick in order to go through with it, because that is some crazy stuff to be a school shooter. Just kill innocent people that never even laid a finger on you, that never even did anything to you. And for you to get to that point, it must have been some really bad, mental health that you must have had. So I definitely feel like mental health is definitely an important factor into these mass shootings.
I own a gun.
Yeah.
For me, it goes back in karate class as a kid, they teach you before everything, it's just like, this is for defense. I'm not getting this to go out and use it to harm people. I'm getting it for that safety. And that's what it boils down to for me, is knowing that it's gonna be a battle. You may win, but it's at least gonna be a battle.
So yeah, no, what that man just said right there, I can agree with that. That's a pretty decent analogy about using karate or martial arts. When you go to learn something, you're using it to defend yourself. Not to go hurt other people. That's pretty much the same thing as to why people get a gun. People want to go and own a gun pretty much just to defend themselves. You know what I mean? They learn to use it. You know what I mean? They take the measures, the safety measures and stuff, and they own a gun, to protect their families, themselves, and I think that's definitely, an important thing. And I feel like that should be a freedom that people should be able to have.
Take the safety part out, just shooting is fun in general. Going to the range is a fun time, so they're used for recreation
And
all the time.
also hunting. So many people, that's the reason they buy guns, is for hunting, to provide food. It's almost like my...
So yeah, no, people use guns obviously for recreational uses, to go to the shooting range and stuff and to just have fun and stuff, which, I can't understand, you know what I mean?
I'm not against owning a gun. Eventually, I will. I believe in the Second Amendment. My dad trained me from time to time. I know where the guns are in the house. I know how to use them.
America has a mass shooting problem.
A mass shooting is different than, let's say, a murder. When you think about a mass shooting, the perpetrator, they're usually suicidal, right? And they have no agenda other than to take lives. And that's quite different than a typical crime that would involve a firearm. It's a phenomenon.
I think that's where I'm somewhat pushing that back. I think in order for us to solve it, we have to start looking at it. This is massive amounts of people that are still shooting humans, even if it's themselves.
Right.
If we're talking about stats, mass shootings, they would say, are not a problem, based on the data of what that definition of mass shooting is, because that's less than 1% of all death in the country in regards to firearms. So if I went just with that, I would not agree that there's a mass shooting problem. But how can I sit next to this young man here who lost 8 out of 12 people that he knew in one juncture and say that's not a problem?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with this man's point right here. Statistically, mass shooting really isn't a problem because more people die to car crashes. There's many other ways that people die. Statistically, mass shootings are not a problem, but at the same time, you can't just look at somebody who's been through a mass shooting. You can't look at somebody who has lost somebody to a mass shooting and say that it's not a problem, because clearly for somebody to go out in a populated area and just let loose and start killing people is definitely a mental health problem and definitely, an issue with guns and stuff, you know what I mean?
One, we have a mass shooting problem, but we also have a mental health problem.
Right.
My age range from, I believe it's 15 to 25, we have the highest depression rate in the entire history of the human race. That data can prove.
Okay, he said the entire history of the human race, we have the highest depression rate, and holy shit. I don't know why my generation is so depressed. Maybe it's social media, maybe it's the food that we eat. There's many different factors, but mental health and depression, all that kind of stuff is definitely a huge problem. You know what I mean? It's definitely something that, might not be completely solved, but definitely needs some help. Definitely needs some type of solution. So yeah, like what this guy Hayden right here is stating, that mental health is definitely a huge problem and definitely plays a factor into these mass shootings.
The kid's birthday, the day that he showed up to school. If one person said happy birthday, got him a card, talk to him and say like, hey, I know it's your birthday next week, want to do something this weekend. It's all about how are we making these authentic human connections with people. If we just talk to people, I think that's where our problem is.
I believe we have a mental health problem. I believe we have a drug problem. I believe we have a racial problem. And the reason why I don't think mass shooting is a problem is because if we took all the guns, it wouldn't stop the violence. Like you pointed out, they could have used a car, they could have used a knife, they could have used a bomb. That would not absolve these deaths, us from experiencing these things, because they find another way. And by calling it mass shooting and saying we need this gun control now, that's, from my perspective, just more of an opportunity to make another law that the police can lock up people in my specific demographic for.
So I think this guy right here does have a solid point about, there being many different issues that play a factor into, the whole, mass shooting. He's saying mass shootings aren't the problem. He's pretty much saying everything else is a problem that contributes to a mass shooting happening, such as pretty much mental health and racial issues and stuff like that, which I think I can agree on. Is definitely something that causes, mass shootings and could be a problem. But I definitely think solving these separate issues, around mental health and, racial issues and stuff like that could definitely help to, get rid of this mass shooting problem.
Otherwise, it's completely legal to, give a gun to a friend or what have you. So I think that it creates an entire underbelly of the market that really shouldn't exist. I mean, if we're not keeping track of who has a gun and where they're buying it, who's selling it, I think guns get in the wrong people's hands.
So yeah, no, should it be harder to purchase a gun? I know in different states, there are states such as California and Illinois that are very difficult to buy guns, and yet there are mass shootings, and especially in Illinois, I think Chicago has a lot of shootings. So should it be harder to purchase a gun? I think there should definitely be, some regulation and definitely be some precaution as to who is able to buy a gun, especially somebody who is mentally stable, you know what I mean? I feel like even if we take away everyone's guns, you're taking away guns from people who are law-abiding citizens who got their guns in the first place by doing it the right way. And it doesn't matter what we do trying to take away guns because the average criminal probably gets their gun illegally anyways. You know what I mean? They get their guns illegally. It doesn't stop the average criminal from going and buying a gun illegally and doing these same kinds of acts.
Teachers should be armed.
Yo, what the fuck? Should teachers be armed? That's a decent question to ask, man. I'm not sure. I'm still going to school. Would I feel safer if my teacher was armed? I don't know. I've been doing online schooling, so I don't know. But I mean, from previous years after the shooting that I've been in, that's an interesting question. You know what I mean? Just having my English teacher be strapped. You know what I mean? And probably having a potential classmate piss off the teacher, and the teacher says "fuck it" one day. But I really doubt that would happen. You know what I mean? But it's just that's an interesting question. You know what I mean? Teachers being armed and stuff like that. I truly don't know an answer to a question like that personally. If I would even feel safer or not.
Look at what we do protect with firearms, our politicians, our celebrities. And for our kids, we protect them with gun-free zones, and they're just left sitting ducks, right? So I think if you have concealed carry permit holders, if you have maybe veterans or ex-law enforcement that are teachers, would you not want them to be able to protect your kid? Otherwise, your option is you're not protected. You have to wait 10, 20 minutes for the police to come with their firearms to come rescue your kids.
So yeah, what she said was interesting. You know what I mean? Like having ex-police officers, retired, veterans and stuff that are as teachers have, firearms. I did have this one teacher that was still in the military, and would I have minded if that guy had a gun? I don't think I would have, you know what I mean? Considering the dude's still in the military, he's trained and stuff like that. But then again, there's, the people who wouldn't feel safe that a teacher would have a, gun on them, to be armed. There's many different arguments to be made here that could overlap on each other. So, like I said before, teachers should be armed. I don't know if I could even say yes or no to a question like that. I'm not sure.
I believe there's a way
A lot of the stigma around surrounding mass shootings is guns, but it's really the person. And I think if we're all more kind, we end up feeling better, right? And if we're more loving, we create more understanding around everybody, regardless of race, religion, gender identity, any of that stuff. If we're more empathetic, we cultivate more understanding around who you are, and then there's less hatred because I understand where you're coming from. And if we're more vulnerable, then we're able to talk about things like mental health. We're able to talk about like, hey, I feel depressed. Hey, I'm anxious. Hey, I've been thinking about it. I want to shoot up a school. And you're the only person I feel safe talking to. If we prioritize those, we as humans become better, and then we can contribute to our global community.
I definitely agreed with what this young man Hayden had said, and the lady too, that mental health is definitely, one of the bigger sides of the problem. You know what I mean? Just in general in life, when people get depressed and sad, sometimes people don't know how to deal with it. Sometimes they take it out on other people. And when they take it out on other people, they can hurt other people in a bad way. I feel like solving, or at least trying to help the issue of mental health, being able to talk about your problems, being able to get rid of that stigma of being vulnerable to other people, and just getting some help would definitely solve a lot of issues, and would definitely, help people in the long run. And as a society, people would feel better, and not have to create or, do these heinous, horrible acts of, mass shootings and other kinds of hate crimes and bad things and stuff like that.
That these three and you guys don't have to experience it one more time, or you guys ever in your life, to understand the shoes that we're in.
There's almost no rhyme or reason sometimes why these things happen, and I think that's why it's a problem. I'd love to wave a magic wand and make it so that never happens again. It's not possible. There's no motive that makes sense to go to a bar and do what the guy did that night, right?
America has a sickness. America's main sickness is white supremacy. It's an issue that we have not addressed. It's an issue that's written into the foundation of this nation when the founding fathers wrote, all men are created equal, while holding slaves. And I think most of these issues are rooted in that. And if we just keep, putting a Band-Aid on it and don't get out and get that cancer, we can't reach those levels. But I think that's what it would take, because that's what can start the healing process.
All right, well, these people, they made their own points, everybody brought their own perspective to the table. Really found this middle ground very, very interesting because, because I am a mass shooting survivor, and it's very interesting to see something like this. I just want to give another opinion about this guy talking about white supremacy. I do find it interesting that, he wants to bring, racial issues and, white supremacy into this kind of problem issue. Like the other guy said in the blue shirt or whatever, a blue sweater, I'm tripping. Usually there is no rhyme or reason as to why these people do these kinds of things. Some people are just sick in the head, and I don't think it's really, the white supremacy or racial issue. I feel like it's just more or less there's good and bad of the world. With there being good and bad in the world, there isn't always rhyme or reason as to why people do bad or good things. Sometimes people just do good things just to do good things. Sometimes people just do bad things just to do bad things, Sometimes there isn't no rhyme and reason, you know what I mean? If, like that guy said, if I could make, shootings go away forever, if I could solve any problem in the world, I would if I could, but things aren't as simple as that. Things are a lot more complicated, and sometimes things happen because of literally no reason. But yeah, that's it for the video. These are all pretty cool people. They all seem pretty, responsible, cool adults. I'm still a young guy. I'm only 18, so I still need more experience in life. I don't know how valid my opinion is compared to these other people's. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below about all these different questions, the whole topic, what you guys think. I mean, this is just my take. This is what I think. I don't speak for all, school shooter survivors. I don't speak for any survivor of a mass shooting in general. I'm just speaking for myself. I agreed with some of their points, but I also disagreed with, a lot of their points also. But yeah, other than that, if you guys did enjoy this video, drop a like, subscribe, share this out with your friends, hit that bell so you guys can get notifications and all that good stuff, and drop a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.